Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MindAbility Matters. And I am thrilled that I have Christine with us today. Christine is the founder of Talent Magnet Solutions. The one thing I was really drawn when I first spoke to Christine was her passion to really make a difference in the whole talent management space. Rather than my wax lyrical for hours, Christine, welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here. So I'm Christine Bonfante, founder and principal talent partner at Talent Magnet Solutions, and started my business almost 1 year ago. Next week will actually be my 1 year anniversary of filing my LLC, which is crazy to think. But I really started Talent Magnet Solutions because I saw a need in the market for startups and for SMBs who are growing. They need to be able to add talent to their team that is aligned with the functions and like the specific skills that they need for various roles. And also aligned with their values and the type of culture that they want to have as a business. But obviously, when you're starting out, when you're a small business, you don't necessarily have the resources or even the need to have a fully built out people team in-house. And so there's a lot of struggles that founders and business owners go through in terms of how do we recruit the right people? How do we keep them around and retain them and engage them once we have them on board? And so I feel like there's a lot of value that can be provided through fractional or consulting services in that regard.
And what was the last straw that made you want to press the button on starting your business when you did? I know you've been on a huge journey in the first year, and it's been wonderful to see your business grow and flourish. But what was the story behind that?
Yeah, such a great question. So I feel like there's kind of a running joke in the fractional community, especially with just like with how the market has been in tech and other industries over the last couple years, that people have been forced fractional. And that was a little bit true for me as well. I had gone through 2 layoffs within a year in the tech space, and really wanted to have some more control over my destiny rather than going back to the job market and putting myself out there all over again. I really thought to myself, if I'm ever going to try to go out on my own and do things differently and take a bet on myself, now is the time to do it. And so I did. And it has been quite a roller coaster. Like there's so much to learn when you work for yourself and so many things that are different than being in corporate. And I'm very fortunate and thankful to have your guidance and the MindAbility Business Club to bounce ideas off of, and some other communities that I'm in as well. And I think that community sense is really important when you're going off on your own.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I did a post today actually on just that collaboration and community piece is so important and is getting even more important every day with more and more consultants coming to the space.
Mhm.
I think there's a big opportunity to do a lot more work in this space. Christine,
100%.
when you look back over the last year, what are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. Surviving. I mean, like it's really, when I started off, I really thought that I had my target client in mind. I thought that I would just go out and have conversations with founders that were very early in their journey. And I found that to be a different trajectory than what I had envisioned. I ended up going a little bit more up market, to work with companies that were a little further along. Either they've raised some capital or they have revenue, and they're really better equipped to scale and to bring on resources and support to help them do that. But I think weathering the storm, because there is a lot of ups and downs in fractional and in
Mm.
any kind of business endeavor, and really just being able to learn from mistakes that I made, do things differently next time, just have the resilience to keep going and to have faith that, in doing the right actions, it does pay off in your outcomes. And I have seen that to be true. Like if you just stick to the plan and you have people around you to support you and guide you along the way, you will find what's meant for you.
Absolutely. And it's, I go back to an earlier comment. It's been wonderful to see how you've grown, not only as your business, but that evolution for you as a business owner in terms of I can do this, I have done that.
Mm-hmm.
What
Totally.
what are you most excited about for your business over the coming 6 to 12 months?
I'm really excited to continue to expand the impact that we can have with additional businesses. Just some of the feedback that I've gotten from clients over the last year, knowing that I'm driving impact for them and really changing the way that they operate in their businesses when they can show up every day and know that their teams are fully staffed with the right people that are dedicated toward helping them up level their own trajectories. I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. So just continuing to grow the impact that I can have with various businesses, and also, really getting to be more strategic about how do I want to approach my business? How do I want to approach the types of clients that I'm working with? So many things that I think you get to really revise and reflect on after some time in seat.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I find that even kind of 25 years down the line and 5 businesses in, I learn every day, and we finesse and change and pivot. So it's lovely to hear that when there's something that you're looking to do. I'd love you to take us on a journey with when you look at some of the great work you did last year, and I know it because I've heard it in the business club sessions. Can you explain, say, a situation, and I don't want you to give anything away that's sensitive, but how you've helped specific teams and what it's meant for that business in 2024, and what's that evolution for them in 25? Because it's an ongoing impact, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, as far as one of my clients that comes to mind immediately, they have a small business located locally. And when they first reached out to me, it was a referral from someone that was in my network. And he was really at a breaking point where the existing team was not fulfilling his needs. And he's been in business for 23 years as well. But these challenges come up, across all different growth stages of the business. And he needed to really bring the right people on to even allow himself to continue growing and doing the business development and working with clients directly versus being in the operations and the execution of his business. And he was really at a pretty desperate point at the time that we initially connected. And in the course of even a month of working with him, we were able to make 3 hires that really allowed him to, again, like take a step back from day-to-day operations and focus on moving his business forward as an owner. I know that, some of the feedback and testimonials that I received from him were just so rewarding in the fact that he felt like I had given him a second chance at this, really, like to be able to continue in his business and for it to not be like a miserable experience that he dreaded every day because he wasn't properly equipped to be successful. So that's one particular scenario. I also have a client that I have a great relationship with and have done a lot of work on building out several different teams for them this past year. And we're still working together in 2025 as well. And that's also, really allowed them to go through this rebuilding phase where they had some changes to their go-to-market motion, as businesses do, and really needed me to come in and work closely with their hiring teams and align on the needs and get great candidates involved in their process. And what I really love about talent acquisition too is that ability to be at the intersection of having strategic impact on businesses and providing great experiences and opportunities for candidates. Like, to me, I just can't imagine doing anything else, because that part is so joyful when you can connect a great candidate with a great opportunity and have that impact on the business. And so really just like the work I've been able to do across that team has been really meaningful. I also worked with another client in building out an entire hiring infrastructure for their existing team. So when we started working together, there was not a hiring process. There was not any kind of standards around, what are we really looking for in candidates? How do we move them through the process? How do we organize our data and information about folks that we're talking to? And that was a really large scale project around everything from the hiring process, implementing an ATS solution, building out interview question banks and scoring rubrics, and training their existing hiring team on how to effectively run these processes. And that was so rewarding when that concluded. I mean, that was over the course of 9 months that we worked on that project. And now they have an existing resource that their team now and in the future can reference. And that's going to massively impact their ability not to just be operationally excellent in their existing business, but also as they're looking to grow. So those are some that stand out, all clients that I'm still engaged with for 2025. And I just am excited to, what else can we do this year that will be positive for them, and also other companies that I haven't met yet.
Yeah, I love that. And, you often hear me talk about the fact that I wish some of these companies who are the wrong side of good would get back to candidates and give them a better candidate experience.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's something that's very dear to your heart. How have you handled some of those more difficult situations with candidates when they're not the right fit, and understandably they really wanted that job? I know you have a very different approach to it.
Definitely. So I think the most important thing is to be transparent and try to keep them informed as much as possible.
Mm.
And I'll answer that and then kind of reflect on some of the other things that I think are challenges in the candidate experience right now. But even if it's providing a no update, that is something that I really try to focus on, is making sure that if the process is held up in some way, or even if we're not moving forward with a particular candidate, the sooner that we can communicate that to them so that they know their next steps that they need to plan for, is really the ideal situation, even if it's not the end result that they ultimately wanted. And just trying to be like empathetic in that communication as well. I will always offer to connect with candidates on LinkedIn and keep them in mind for future opportunities. And truly, there's so many times as a recruiter that if you really build that relationship with a candidate, even if it's a no right now, there can be so many future opportunities that they might be a great fit for, either at that particular company or at another. And so that's really the type of mindset that I try to take with it, is that long-term perspective. And even if they're not a fit for a given company, just having that human perspective on what it is to be a candidate, especially in this market, and to, give them the experience that I would want to have. Some of the challenges that I think people are facing in the market right now are really, a reflection of the fact that the market has been impacted so heavily in recent years, and talent acquisition teams have been reduced. And so you have companies that are running recruiting operations with much less headcount than they used to. The teams might not be resourced appropriately with the right software and automations to be able to get to candidates in a timely manner. They have more requisitions per recruiter than what they've ever had previously. Hiring teams are hesitant to, make a green light hire on folks, knowing that they're not going to have like the same headcount that they would have previously added to their team. So when you hear people talk about quality of hire, Every hire matters so much more in this environment. And I just think that there's a lot of factors that are working against those internal recruiting teams and hiring managers as well. And it's also challenging for the candidate when they can't get their resume reviewed or move forward in an interview process in a reasonable manner, or they feel like they're applying to countless jobs and never hearing back from anything. And so I really feel like the fractional or consulting space is such an opportunity to be able to come hand in hand, even with a team and a company that has an existing people function, and support them in being able to provide great candidate experiences and get their roles filled and build their company as an employer of choice, make sure that their reputation as an employer isn't damaged in their candidate experience. So, in those cases, maybe they don't need to scale to the level that they had in-house previously, but you can also partner externally and be an extension of their team to ensure that they're showing up the way they would want to.
Absolutely. And, uh, it's a tough time. I think it's easy to criticize, but these teams are also short-staffed, as you've mentioned there. So there's a lot that goes on there.
There is.
Christine, when you look at kind of your hopes and dreams for your business and its continued role in how the workplace is changing and evolving, what would you like that to be in a couple of years' time?
So I think the workplace is changing in a lot of ways, and some of them are positive, some of them, are not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I wish that collectively we would have held on to more of the learnings over the last several years around flexibility in the workplace and being able to support folks through remote or hybrid situations. However, I do think that candidates are going to be valuing certain things differently. They are definitely valuing their flexibility. They are valuing values aligned organizations where they feel like what a company represents, not just what they say they represent, but what they truly represent through their actions and decision making. That should align for them. They're looking to be able to make an impact and to learn something and be able to grow. And so I think that, the days of a company putting out a role and people just applying for it and feeling like they have to join because they need a paycheck, those days are gone. There's been a lot of folks that have started their own businesses or found other ways to produce income. And if you want to attract the best talent, you need to be able to show up and provide something different than what other companies are offering them. So my role in that, and as a business, would be to consult with employers and figure out, like, what is your employee value proposition? What are you offering? And what are you able to provide that is really going to attract the best possible talent that can help your business continue to thrive? And those are conversations that we can have and uncover, whether that is compensation, benefits, growth potential, exposure to like a really exciting industry or a team that invests in your development, all of these different things. And then how do we position that transparently to the candidate marketplace so that we get folks that that's what they're looking for. And sometimes situations are not going to be the right fit for everyone involved. But if you put it out there about what it is that you're offering, you'll attract candidates that are aligned with that, and other candidates will have the signal that that's not the right opportunity for them. And the sooner you can find that out, the better too, for both parties.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think, it saddens me that, and I was having a conversation, funnily enough, on a different show the other day where, I was saying we learned so much from that day where UK went into lockdown on March 23rd, 2020. And the HR community, which included the TAs, the org design, the workforce planners, changed the world of work overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love for some of those memories to to come back to be a reality today. And I agree with you. It's I would love to see more conversations, and I think that's what I'm hearing for you, more of a partnership conversation about, okay, well, this bit doesn't work for me, but that does. How can we make this work? Are you
Definitely.
seeing a situation whereby we go back to that almost parent child, or do you think we're going to hold on and maintain that balance? I know what I'd like it to be.
Same. I definitely feel pretty strongly about there being a balance, especially just from an inclusion standpoint and folks
Yes.
that do not, plug into this existing 9 to 5 corporate structure, which we all know is, far beyond a 9 to 5 when you include commute time and things like that. Um, I think that it's really going to be market dependent. Right now, the fact of the matter is that it is an employer's market. And I think that there's companies that are taking advantage of that and wanting to be able to control all aspects of, what that employee experience looks like. And, even though we have all the data that shows that folks are just as effective and productive in remote settings, if you're making the right hires, then I think that we should keep that in consideration. But I honestly don't know what would happen. I never thought that we would be back to a situation that tech companies are asking for people to be in seat in office 5 days a week. I think that there is a very limited number of candidates that are looking to go back to that. And so if you can't compete as an employer on cash compensation, flexibility is a great way to differentiate yourself and attract some of the best talent in the market to your opportunities. And I think that that's something that companies should consider if they're on the other side of the coin and they're able to provide hybrid or remote options.
Yeah, it's, I fully agree. It's the cost that goes into an office versus investing in a person is something else, and an office is about its people. A
Mhm.
company is about its people. A brand is nothing without its people. Um, so
Definitely.
yeah, I hope that changes. I really do.
Yes, or at least if you are, coming together in office for some period of time, if it's a hybrid schedule or you're scheduling quarterly offsites or something that brings the team together in person, it's for those moments that matter, which I've heard a lot of companies talk about as well is, on those days where folks are together, that should be your time for collaborative meetings, strategy sessions, one-to-ones, really maximizing that time appropriately versus people commute into the office and then sit on Zoom meetings all day and don't even interact with the folks that are sitting in the cubicle next to them. I think that that would be unfortunate and a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah, there's a massive irony there, which is sadly being overlooked, and I
Mhm.
suspect purposely overlooked. But perhaps
Yes.
we should leave that one there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just to like the inclusion point, unfortunately, what I think is going to really come out of this return to office is that there's going to be more and more women that are forced into leaving the corporate workplace. That's really a lot of the conversations that I've had with women that have started their own business or they've started consulting or have gone fractional. Or have just had to reconsider their options because it is a lot to balance as a working mom, to be able to show up for your family in the way that you want to, and to
Mm.
then also know that you have the skills and experience that you want to be able to put to work in the marketplace. And there's not a lot of great options that have existed in previous years to
No.
support that. So the flexibility of remote work, um, to me was such a win for
Mm.
women in the workplace and also folks that, have different abilities or for, whatever reason they cannot sit in an office 9 to 5 and commute for hours every day. now we're going back to a time where they're going to have to make some hard decisions. And I think that we don't even fully understand what the impact of that will be yet.
No. And, I feel that 2 years ago, we were talking about the fact that the L&D aspect, the personal development, which is still really important, was such a high priority. It almost feels like we've come to a divisive point now where there are definitive, I'd hate to say sides, but we've almost come into that point where there are very different perspectives. And to your point earlier, this is much better that we build a workforce which more and more is becoming about community, whereby we're trying to meet the needs of the community as a whole. And when we're bringing them in the office, we're bringing them in for collaboration and community. We're not bringing them in to be productive.
Right.
And I would also love to see in 12 months from time, 12 months time from now, what do those productivity levels look like for those who have felt that they've been forced to go back into the workplace? They haven't had an alternative because there are no other job options. They, for whatever reason, financially can't afford to take the leap and do it themselves. It might not be right for them. Again, a conversation I've had with someone.
Absolutely.
I would love to see what those productivity figures look like in some of those companies, and will we really be given the true picture of that?
I agree. I mean, if we're going to say that we make data-driven decisions, then we have to be willing to examine the data, whether it supports the proposition that we wanted it to or not. And I agree that that's going to be interesting. And really just, the long-term fallout from a retention and talent attraction standpoint.
And I think we are going to see more of the Airbnb type companies emerging, where they are attracting the top talent. They want to work with the top talent strategists and managers to be able to say, okay, we are going to maintain our work from anywhere. We want to encourage full flexibility, and the rewards from that may be different. How are you seeing? That's a good question for you, actually. How are you seeing the rewards side of it change in terms of pay and benefits with some of these companies who are saying now come back to the office? And what are your recommendations on that? I know we haven't talked about that, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that there's definitely an aspect of where are you hiring people from, like that geo zone when you're talking about compensation. And most companies will, if they're national or international companies, they're going to have different pay zones that are dependent on the labor market that they're looking to hire from. So if you're a company that's based out of a very expensive labor market, like New York or the Bay Area or Seattle or any of these other tech hubs, and you need to be able to bring people in office either in a hybrid or fully on-site cadence, then you're going to be paying substantially more for that talent than you would if you were potentially able to open up your hiring to some other markets where there's also great talent at a more affordable rate. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I haven't seen much of a reduction as far as like salary ranges for many of these roles that are still highly in demand. And so that part is not changing. But yeah, I mean, I think as an employer, to your point, if you are positioned to be able to offer flexibility, whether that's remote, work from anywhere, even just like the flexibility of having some determination over what days you're in office, whatever that flexibility looks like for your company, that is the number one thing that candidates are looking for right now. That is what they are asking about in every conversation. And you would definitely be differentiated and able to attract a completely different level of talent than you would by requiring 5 days a week in office.
It's just, and I
I mean,
guess for us,
I can imagine a scenario, unless you are a legacy tech organization with just billions of dollars to spend. I cannot see how you would compete on cash compensation or talent attraction in any regard. You are limiting yourself so substantially and requiring something like that for a requisition, like for a role that probably doesn't need to be in office. So,
that's a sad thing, isn't it? A role that doesn't need to be in the office.
right. Yeah.
Christine, you talked earlier about the importance of community, and I know how important that is to you personally. I'd love to hear more about your ambassador role. I don't know how you had the time, frankly, with a young family, your own business, and you've taken this on.
I
But there
know.
we go. You're an incredible human being. Tell us more about what you do with that.
Definitely. So, to your point, I think community is so important, especially, when you're going off on your own, or maybe when you don't feel aligned with some of the traditional norms in your workplace. And so finding communities that really resonate for you from a values perspective is one of the top things that I would recommend for anybody. And so I got involved with women in tech and entrepreneurship about a year ago also, and really started attending some of the events at my local Orlando, Florida chapter. There's really chapters now all throughout Florida, and we are looking to expand nationally and internationally. So I'm so excited for that growth and just to be able to bring this impact to other communities too. But Women in Tech and Entrepreneurship is an organization that focuses on providing resources and community and education and inclusive networking for women that are in tech or tech adjacent industries or investment, such as venture capital and private equity, or service providers for those industries, or they've started their own business, the entrepreneurship piece. And it's really just bringing them together. There is a Slack community. There's also in-person happy hours that we host in various cities once a month. I've also put together some ad hoc like lunch meetups, coffee meetups, things like that for the Orlando area. But really, it's just giving women that opportunity to gather authentically, and show up for each other and make connections and support whatever it is that they are experiencing in their professional life or personal life at that time. And it's just truly one of the most magnetic, inspiring, authentic groups that I've ever been a part of. Everybody just shows up so generously in the way that they support each other, make introductions, share advice and resources. And we get that feedback from a lot of members too, that this is just such a different experience than what they have seen in their networking at other types of events, where they feel like they have to put on like a mask and not be their authentic self, and that they're posturing, and everybody's just in it like for the ego and like the superficial aspect of it. So I would highly encourage, if you are in Florida, check out Women in Tech and Entrepreneurship, and we will definitely be posting as we continue to expand nationally. But my role as an ambassador is really just to bring people into the organization, to help facilitate the events, make introductions, really just support the group as much as I can. And to your point, it is challenging to balance all the things for sure. I always wish I had more time to do more. It always feels like it's not enough, but if we all put forth the effort and the time that we do have available, it can drive so much of an impact.
I agree. There is so much power in community and collaboration. It also makes the world a far, far better place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Christine, this is the part of the show where I have some very important questions for you. Now, you may have been forewarned on this by other club members. Are you ready?
I hope so.
I'm going to start you off gently.
Okay.
What is your favorite cheese?
Ooh, such a good question coming off the holidays.
I know.
Where I
Like,
lived off of cheese and chocolate. There's a cranberry cheddar that I think is excellent. It's a white cheddar with cranberries, and it usually comes out around like the late fall, early holiday season. There's several brands that make a version of this. And my personal favorite is to pair that with like a cranberry or fig cracker. I know this is like very specific, but
I'm
um,
loving it.
no, that combination is really top tier.
I'm going to have to try that now. I hadn't thought about the cranberry and the cranberry biscuit. So this is a revelation for me.
It's a good
Um,
balance. It's like salty, sweet, tart, just everything.
I love it. I've got to still put my grocery order in, so I might be making some tweaks on that too.
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, and we'll look back at the end of 2024, 2024 in general. What was the worst film you watched that you felt you really can't get that moment in time back, and you'd love a return on that?
Oh my gosh. I can't even remember the name of it, to be honest. But there was, yeah, like there's movies or shows that you watch that it's just the ending is so unfulfilling to me. Like I feel like it doesn't follow the story arc. And there's so much conversation these days around like, what is your story arc? Like, where does your main character end up in the end? Is there that resolution to their experience? And when I guess producers try to intentionally not include that resolution and just leave you hanging, for me, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like I just wasted my time and I don't have what I was looking for. There's no happy ending.
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't mind a happy ending. The worst is when you're watching, say, a Netflix series, right? So you've gone through between 8, sometimes 11.
Invested.
You've invested all that time. You get to 11. You might have invested 11 hours, admittedly, over a period
Sure.
of months. And then it's just everything's open ended. It's like you've
Yeah.
just wasted enough. So I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Or
I'll
they
have
cancel your show, like, they'll cancel and not do the next
yeah,
season, and yeah, I know. So many unfulfilled promises.
so many, so many. But I now want to take you to a happy place. And I know how much you love travel. And we were talking about it before. And you and I share that passion for new places, trying new things. Um, I'd like you to imagine you are on holiday and you are taking a flotation device with you. What is your flotation device of choice and why?
Ooh, I saw one recently, that was like a giant champagne glass
Ooh.
inflatable raft, and I feel like those are the abundant vibes that we wanna bring into 2025, all the celebrations.
Oh,
Just champagne is a celebratory drink. Like you pop the champagne when you're happy and when there's something good happening. So I would say that.
I just think you've just beaten everyone else hands down. I think we've had ice cream sundaes.
Okay.
We have had sharks, a little bit scared.
Okay.
But I think that's a thing of beauty. I love
Yeah,
that.
I know. And now I need to go and find it on Amazon and
You do,
order
and
it so we
share
can
it.
really manifest. Yeah.
Christine, you have been a fabulous member of the business club now for several months. For anyone who is looking at it right now, what's been your experience of joining and what do you get out of it that's helpful for you?
Definitely. Yes. So thankful to you for, making me aware of the business club and bringing me into it. So there's several things, obviously your experience in HR consulting is super helpful from the perspective of, we're business owners now, we're
Mm.
operating a business. We need to be able to look at it from that perspective. And so there's other communities that are more focused on like the technical or the functional execution of your skill set. But MindAbility Club is really about how do you show up as a business owner and put the right processes and programs in place that allow you to achieve your goals and to continue to grow and thrive. Um, And so there's so many things, I think, all of us, like, you don't know what you don't know. And so for me coming into this, there's been so many topics that you've helped uncover and just provide your firsthand experience in. And I love being able to hear other members of the club talk about their experiences and their perspectives. And I learn from the questions that they have, because everybody is kind of going through this same journey of trying to grow their people-centric consulting business. And that looks so different, but there's also so many similarities between just like the things that we all need to do. We all need to be able to do business development to bring on new clients. We all need to be able to manage those existing relationships with clients. We all need to be able to learn AI and new technology and how we should implement that in our businesses. We discuss tools and we discuss just best practices around all kinds of different things. And to me, that's been so valuable, just like obviously the education and the resources, but also the support and the community and the fact that everybody understands, what you're going through and what that growth trajectory looks like as a fairly new business owner.
Oh, Christine, thank you. I really appreciate that. Christine, you shared so much of your expertise today. And for anyone who's either watching the recording or watching this live today, and they're thinking, I have to have Christine in my life, how do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I'm very active on LinkedIn, on there daily as a recruiter, and try to share content that's helpful. So I would say definitely check it out on LinkedIn. I'll also be linking this conversation there as well. Christine Bonfante, if you search, you'll find me. Talent Magnet Solutions is also on LinkedIn, so you can find the company page there. And then our website is talentmagnetsolutions.com. Lots of good information on there around the types of services that we offer and what we're all about. My email address is Christine@talentmagnetsolutions.com, where I can also be reached. And I'd love to, schedule calls and get to know business owners and what their needs are this year. And I also have a great network of other fractionals and consultants. So if it's not something that I particularly specialize in, I can absolutely make a referral to someone that would be a great fit for what they need. And we do lots of partnering and, making sure that businesses are equipped in the way that they need to be.
Perfect. Perfect. Christine, I know that it's going to be another strong year for you. I am so excited to see what comes for you.
Thank you.
Um, and yeah, just please reach out to Christine if you've been inspired by her story and also you're looking for that help this year. Christine really is exceptionally personal in the services she offers and how she does it. And the experience both for the employers and the candidates is second to none. So do reach out to her. Christine, it's been a pleasure to see you today.
Thank you
And
so much for having me. So much fun.
it has been fun, hasn't it?
Yes.
So from Christine and I, take care, everybody.